While I'm not as plugged into the entire Remedy-verse with Alan Wake and Max Payne, I do love me some Control. Loved it so much that I've played through it twice. The Oldest House is a really interesting setting and the gameplay was incredible. Throwing those physics objects through environments was tuned to absolute perfection. If you want to learn more about my time with the original game, I encourage you to check out the review in the top right corner. I figured a sequel was a shoo-in, and I was delighted to learn that one is in production. The thing I'm most looking forward to, though, seeing those objects of power get really weird. But I was caught off guard during an Xbox partner showcase when FBC Firebreak showed up, a 3-player co-op first-person shooter set in the Oldest House. I was really intrigued to see how this one would come out, but not dying to see it. It was coming to Game Pass, so I figured I would get to it when I got to it.
I am excited to play it, but I didn't see anything in those trailers that really hooked me in. I am bought in by my love for Control, but I want to see how or if this game can elevate itself beyond that. This is FBC Firebreak.
Hello, fellow Bureau employees. Have you tried leaving the office for a cigarette break recently? If you have, you've probably noticed that all the doors to the outside are locked. That's right, we're all trapped inside with our co-workers. And have been for about 6 years now. Dang.
Listen, my friends are always telling me that I laugh way too hard at puppets, but it can't just be me, right? This shit is hilarious.
After extensive testing, the FBC has devised an effective method of counteracting this hostile resonance-based force from another dimension.
But the funny puppets set up the scenario nicely. There are a handful of situations that have sprouted up in the Federal Bureau of Control that require the intervention of Firebreak. This is where you and 2 friends come in. Each of you will select one of the 3 classes and load up one of the 5 missions.
5? Only 5.
You'll load up one of the missions, complete 3 objectives that will push your squad further into the play area, and after the final objective, a boss will spawn. Putting said boss down will allow you to make a mad dash for the elevator for extraction. The objectives will change from mission to mission, and credit where it's due, they're all pretty unique as far as co-op shooter tasks go. One of Control's best qualities is, and continues to be, how f***ing weird it is. The constant AWEs or altered world events kept the player on their toes. Never knowing what to expect, you would always be dealing with some mundane or silly object that was trying to rip apart reality or something like that. And this carries over to Firebreak nicely. The first mission sees you fighting through the basement trying to fix the heaters. You'll go down to the quarry to hunt for these crystals, eliminate frost entities by putting industrial heaters next to them, the works. Depending on the class you choose, you'll be able to complete one of 3 tasks more efficiently. As the mechanic, I have a pipe that allows me to repair things faster than the other classes. If I beat the hell out of this deployable turret, it'll build faster than if another class was to interact with it. Same thing goes for other classes as well. If I, as the mechanic, were to interact with an electrical problem, I can fix it by completing a QTE, but the electrician could just walk up and use their electric tool thingy to get it back up and running. And the splash kit is integral for putting out fires when they sprout up, while also having to douse your teammates from time to time when working in hot conditions. This special tool is the only thing that differentiates every class. You can create loadouts for each class, letting them equip any firearm that becomes available. An automatic weapon, a shotgun, and a hand cannon are the choices for primaries, as well as a few different grenade types that have their own strengths and weaknesses. As you play through missions, you can collect these files that, if you extract with them, reward points that you can spend to unlock passive perks. Hey, come on man, pay attention. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Let's just go ahead and jump into why I feel the way I feel about this game. You smack headfirst into that progression ceiling in FBC Firebreak much earlier than you'd like to. To start, looking down on the upgrade tree, there are some cool upgrades that'll help you find some sort of playstyle, like picking the heavy machine gun, equipping faster reloading, and ammo refund that sees bullets occasionally traveling back into your magazine, adding water properties to your weapons rounds, getting a sprint upgrade, and going full scout with the wrench as well. The perk system even has a neat system where you can increase the effectiveness of perks, but they take an extra slot to equip, potentially making you stronger in one aspect, but less varied because you can't equip as many perks. This is all great, and maybe, I didn't get down the tree enough to feel the effects of the later perks, but nothing that I equipped felt like it made a noticeable difference in my abilities. None of these perks changed the way I approached encounters, which isn't a big deal, it just makes the player's kit severely limited. This is where the missions could pick up the slack, only problem is, they don't. I'm not going back on what I said a second ago, the missions are fun and even have lots of interesting objectives. The player interactivity of these objectives are strong, and that's what I appreciate the most about them. Now, while this environmental interactivity is okay, I would like to see it pushed even further. Personally, I prefer something like a Destiny raid, or something that requires all members of the party to be totally in sync, otherwise the team will wipe. For the most part, the team doesn't need to work as a team. The closest we got was when replaying the first mission on a harder difficulty. The final objective requires the party to fill barrels with water to calm down this raging furnace. One member has to fill the barrels and then walk them up to this tower and then attach them to this zip line. Then someone else will need to go grab them and walk the barrels up this platform. Then attach them to this zip line, which will cause the furnace to go into a supernova and damage anyone who isn't taking cover for a few seconds. Then you rinse and repeat while maybe taking down a few enemies in between. On the hard difficulty, you have to do this 15 times. It gets hilariously boring after 3. I speak from experience. This was the longest time we spent on a mission, but this monotonous shit is why. Every other mission lasts 20 minutes, tops, but this one lasted for 40 minutes, and more than half of it was spent on this last section. And again, there are only 5 missions to play through! Yeah, you can play them on harder difficulties, but it only adds a few optional objectives and increases the number of times you repeat the same task. You'll be heating up more frost entities or collecting more crystals. There are no unique changes. They don't change at all. On normal, you'll fight the sticky note monster as the boss. On hard, you'll fight the sticky note monster as the boss, only with more health. The enemies don't become more interesting, they become more resilient. I have to stress, the game is fun enough when it's on, and it was more Left 4 Dead than I expected it to be. The basic hiss enemy types behave in the same way that the basic zombies from Valve series do, but attacking hordes of enemies with friends is where the game shines. There are quote-unquote special infected in the game, but none that change the way you need to play. There are some that need to be targeted in certain weak spots, some that fly, some with different weapons, but none that really shake up the match. Most importantly to me, no enemies will trap or knock out teammates, forcing others to drop what they're doing and help their friend. It's really due to the lack of these game-changing shakeups that matches start to bleed into the next. Working as a team to coordinate and solve the problems presented to you is great the first time or two, but aside from the unique objectives, everything else starts to feel the same. You never feel like you have to drop what you're doing to save a teammate because you don't. Death means nothing besides losing a few of those perk points, but even that penalty isn't bad because in a baffling decision, you can go back to where you died and collect most of your dropped file points. And before you know it, you finish the last mission and realize, oh wait, that was the last mission? Yes. It was. Dear God, I hope they plan on at least adding one final mission to round out the experience. There's obviously a slot in the mission select for one final mission, but the 5 that we have are the only ones in the game. Thus, the game is left without a real ending at the moment. When comparing Firebreak to other similar titles, there is a comical lack of everything. Ghost of Tsushima Legends was bundled for free with an incredible base game, but it still had more to offer. A more enticing progression system with weapons and upgrades, and more importantly to me, a finale that made the journey worth it. Games like this, games that have a somewhat repetitive, small pool of content that is held up by intriguing build crafting and team composition, need a final hurrah that players can work towards. A last mission that puts your accumulated gear and learned knowledge to the test is damn near mandatory for these live service games. Firebreak is not technically a live service game from the information I can find, so there's not a promise of additional content coming after launch, which is why I say you should wait to jump in. If you have Game Pass and are super curious, I guess you can have fun for a night or so, but after that you'll quickly realize that this game isn't finished. Remedy has expressed concerns with certain aspects of the game like onboarding and mission unlock structure, but nothing as far as new content goes, which signals to me that this was just a small diversion before Control 2 releases. Or maybe Remedy wants to diversify their portfolio, who knows. Either way, I would not spend $40 on this, it's not worth the money for the amount of content available. Next time we meet, I will be looking at something far more worth your time. What exactly that is though, I'm not sure. I'm currently playing through Split Fiction with my best friend, which should be a really good one. I have started my journey through Dragon Quest 3, and I gotta say, it's way more fun than 2. Check in on my Dragon Quest retrospective if you're curious. And a game that I've been eager to play for almost a decade comes out next week. I hope you look forward to seeing me talk about Lost Soul Aside. And if you enjoyed what you saw today, I would really appreciate it if you'd leave a like. It really goes a long way in helping out the channel grow. And if you want to be notified when one of those other projects go live, be sure to subscribe. I would also like to invite you to check out the description for links to my community Discord server, where I directly keep you guys updated on everything here, along with a link to my Patreon, where I post exclusive videos that only patrons have access to, as well as ad-free and uncensored versions of my videos, along with having your name added to the likes of my $5 personal account patrons, Squirrel, or my $10 administrator account patrons, WhiteGhost117 and NikkiCoon99. Thank you guys so very, very much as always. Love you dearly. But anyway, I appreciate you for watching. So thanks for stopping by, and have a great day.